God bless. My name is John Drake. I'm a pastor here at Grace Christian Fellowship, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. You know, with this pandemic going on and many other things in the world, there's times in your life when maybe you or you know someone who finds themselves in a situation where their back is up against a wall, where they seem totally hopeless and cannot see any way out of where they're at. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that. And these are the kind of moments I call Red Sea moments. And I'll share why I call them that. When God had Moses bring the children of Israel out of captivity, Moses followed God's direction. And it was a miracle that Pharaoh ever let them even leave. Of course, they were supposed to leave for 3 days and then come back, but they got out and kept going. And they found themselves on a beach called Nuwebi Beach. And it was large enough to hold all the children of Israel that left out of Egypt. But when they arrived there, the Egyptians were hot on their tail. They wanted them back as slaves. That was a workforce that they didn't want to let go of. So they've got the Egyptians coming behind them. They're on a beach looking at the Red Sea. Water in front of them, Egyptians behind them. They felt helpless. They'd been slaves their entire lives because every person that left out of Egypt was born into slavery. None of them knew freedom. They had stories of God handed down to them from generation to generation to generation, and now they're starting to see God work. But it seemed hopeless. There's no way they can get off the beach. Water in front of them, chariots behind them. Ever find yourself in a situation where you can't get a solution to get out of it? I was in a situation like that, and I'm going to share this with you, and it's something I've never shared with anyone in my life. So let's just keep it between us, okay? You know how some stories start off with, "There I was." Well, I'm going to do this more in an incident sharing. The room I'm in, the facility, is brick-walled. Concrete floor, concrete walls. It's after 10 at night. It's really cool in the room, almost cold. It's dark. There's one bulb in the ceiling. It's about a 25-watt bulb, just illuminating a little bit of light with a cage around it. I have 2 other men in the room with me. One of them says, "Take off your clothes." So, I take off my shirt, my t-shirt, undo my pants, take my shoes off. He said, "Everything." Pulled my underwear down, laid it on the bench. He said, "Put your arms up. Turn around. Turn around." Then he said, "Put the clothes on sitting next to you." Of course, I said, "Can I put my arms down?" I got yelled at. I reached down, started to get dressed. Put the pants on, put the shoes on, put the shirt on. And he said, "There's a pile of bedding. Inventory it and sign for it." Okay. 2 sheets, white, wool blanket, green, pillow, pillowcase, Bible, King James Version. Sign for it. He said, "Pick it up, carry it." So I picked it up, He said, "Follow me." So I followed him. We walked down a long corridor. Again, the only light is a bulb with a cage around it, about every 10 feet. It's quiet. The only sound is us walking. We get to a gate. He has me stop. He puts a key in the gate, turns it, unlocks it, slides it open, and the sound to me was almost deafening. My hearing was so enlightened by what was going on. I walked through. He closed the gate behind me. We walked down another corridor. Get down another 15 feet. He stops, opens another gate, slides it open. The sound was terrifying to me. I walked through, was told to stop. He closed the gate. He turned right, opened another gate, had me walk through. I did. Then he turned right again, and he opened yet the final gate. Slid it open, and I stepped in to a cell that was 3 feet by 6 feet with just an iron bed behind me with a 2-inch pad. I laid the stuff down, sat down on the bed, picked up the Bible, and I know at that moment I made a deal with God. I don't remember what I said. But at that point, my life was over. At least that's how I felt. I'd been court-martialed, sentenced to 4 months confinement at hard labor, and a bad conduct discharge. And at that point, I didn't have a future. I didn't know what to do. My back was against the wall. And I cried out to God. You may have a similar story. I don't know. But there are times when you need to reach out for help, or you need to think about how God can deliver you. And what He's done in situations is something miraculous. In times like that, there are verses that come to my mind that are reassuring. There's probably hundreds of them. But these are just a few that come to my mind when pressure gets too much. Don't know what's going to happen. Don't know how to get out of whatever it is I'm into. Or these are ones that I share when somebody tells me they're in a situation where they feel hopeless. They just can't find a way to get out of it. The thing I assure them is God is always there. In Deuteronomy 31, I'm using the ESV version. Deuteronomy 31. And in verse 6, God has recorded, "Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them. For it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you." And that's in any situation in life. God never leaves or forsakes us. Never. That alone, when your back is against the wall, you know You can't do anything to fix the situation, whether it's health or finances or relationship. You have done everything you can do and nothing has worked. That's where that verse comes in. Isaiah 55, please. Isaiah 55, verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. And I think, praise God. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Well, praise God for that. Jeremiah 29. Verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. And when your back is against the wall and you don't know what to do, man, God is there to say, hey, I got this. Don't worry about it. All you got to do is look to me. Trust me, and we will take care of this together. Hebrews chapter 7. You know, as I minister to people that I run into on a daily basis, be it customers or friends at some places that I go, the world has a way of just wrapping people up in circumstances so they get so entangled they can't see what's right in front of them. And it's a joy to sit down with somebody and clear through all that and just get them focused on God. And remind them of a Red Sea moment where God came through. And I'm going to finish the Red Sea incident in just a little bit. Hebrews 7:25. Consequently, He is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through Him, since He always lives to make intercession for them. Always make an intercession for them. You always have help. There's never a time where you are alone. Never. Philippians chapter 4. I'll get there. Philippians 4, verse 6. I love this one. Do not be anxious about anything, period. We're not to be anxious or fretting about anything at all. But, in contrast to being anxious, in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. How many times do we have to get so low and run out of all of our own ideas before we cry out to God? That should be the first place we go when trouble enters. Straight to the Father. Because He saw it coming. He knows what to do. He's the one with the answers and the help. All we have to do is reach out. Back to the children of Israel at the Red Sea. They're facing water. The distance from the beach across the water was about 10.5 miles. Now, let me put a little perspective on this. From this location here at the church, if you were to draw a map with a 10-mile radius, it would encompass Lombard, west of Oswego, Joliet. Can you imagine? They're standing there, they can't even see the land on the other side. That's why it was so disheartening to them to think, how are we going to get out of this? Now, if there was a human alive who could have come up with an escape plan of parting the water right at the place where there's a gentle slope down, a bridge going down and then back up again, that God led the children of Israel to. I don't know that man. I don't think that's within our human capability to say, well, God can do this. It had never been done before. But God did it in His way. The children of Israel escaped. Egyptians followed behind them. They didn't make it to the other side. God caused the waters to come together again. His children were safe. They were fine. As for my story, because you all know, I retired from the Army. At a work detail 2 months after I was incarcerated, I got called to the warden's office. No idea why. Hadn't done anything wrong. I was told the next day I would be leaving for Fort Riley, Kansas for what they called retraining. They deemed me worthy to keep me in the military. I had no idea why. None whatsoever. 2 months of basic training all over again. I came out the number 1 student. Was sent then to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for admin school. They told me it was a self-paced course, 2-month school. 9 days later, I graduated. Got assigned right there at Fort Jackson. And within a year, I was promoted to sergeant. Got sent to Fort Wainwright, Alaska. Within a year, promoted to staff sergeant. While I was at Fort Jackson, God pulled so many miracles during my time there. The biggest one was 2 guys walked into a snack bar I was sitting at and told me about Jesus Christ and invited me to a home fellowship. And I went. I didn't have anything else better to do. I went, I heard, I learned, I made a decision, and they haven't been able to get rid of me since. That day changed my life. I can't remember the deal I made with God, but I'm doing my best to fulfill it. So if you ever get down, you ever get your back against a wall, call me. I'll tell you how God can deliver you. I'll tell you how God can help you in the situation. And I will stick with you through the situation until He does. Okay? God bless.